What's going on, guys? So this is day 73 of the Squat Everyday program, and if you guys are tuning in for the first time or just returning here, thanks for joining. Just make sure you guys give this thing a thumbs up and let me know what you guys thinking about these in the comments below. But let's get to the workout. So this is day 73, day 2 of the new program, and I'm integrating back into doing some cleans. So the cleans today, I started off doing like pulls plus a low hang. And I'll be honest, man, my legs are fried, my hamstrings from yesterday's day 72 where I was doing lower body. So I ended up switching this, and today was just a heavy 2 rep, about an RPE 7 or 8, to just a straight up clean with a pause in the catch. And that was basically that. Just really working on good smooth pulls, build some confidence, getting back underneath them. So nothing crazy here. I think this was like 112 kilo, so 245 pounds. Not loving these, but it's day 1, so getting back into clean, so we'll do that. But then I moved on to some Anderson safety bar squats or pin squats, so just squatting down on the rack. And I actually had a big increased heel, so I had my lifters on, but I also put a piece of plywood under there. So this is really, I'm just working on keeping my hips down underneath me and keeping my head over. And again, kind of a new variation, so the first week is a little difficult there, just trying to get on board with it. Didn't love these, but I'm really working on this patterning. This is definitely kind of a break from yesterday, which was much heavier and a lot more leg volume, to just doing 2s and 3s here. I kind of worked up to a heavy triple, and just really working on this positioning, working on my pelvic control, so really trying to work on that. And as you can see, it's a little sticky there, and that's great because you're building concentric strength and all that. So you can go back on my other videos and check out things why I'm doing these. But then it was all upper body today. So I do upper body about 3 times a week, lower body twice a week. So today's emphasis was a chest and back emphasis, and then the next day of the upper body will be shoulders and back and triceps. And I'll do that kind of varied off and off. But today definitely was a great pump. This was just 2 exercises for the chest, 2 exercises for the back, about 4 sets each. The first day of the week, I like to stick into the heavier rep range of 5 to 10. So this was a low incline bench press, just working on that upper pec, just a natural grip, just nice low, slow eccentric, coming down, tapping the chest, and just keeping that tension on the muscle and keeping it moving. So that was that. It's wild to think, almost a year ago when we got out of COVID, I kind of just started when I would work up to 8 to 10 rep maxes, 2 times a week on this or flat bench. I mean, I was repping out 225, so I'm definitely not there with my strength, especially after a cut. At that point last year, I was basically just eating and enjoying life and training hard in my home basement. So I'm excited to get to that point. Then back to here, so employing a little bit more, bodybuilding-esque things here. So I'm doing a dumbbell flat bench, trying to stick within the 5 to 10 rep range, and then I will immediately go into, or immediately meaning as quickly as I can. So these are about 80 pounds. I'm gonna drop almost about 50 pounds, or 50%. So I'm gonna work with 50 pounds here, and I'm gonna do a drop set. So after every set, so I'm doing 4 total sets of 80 pounds for 5 to 10 reps, training Daniel Ferrier, I will do a drop set. Drop sets are great because your best muscle fibers get basically beat up from the heavy weight, and then you're able to increase a little more stimulus and train a little more fatigue with that lighter weight. So you're able to get a lot of work in, even though you're quote unquote doing 4 sets, you're actually doing a lot. And instead of doing like 6 or 8 sets of just a single thing without drop sets, you can get a lot done in a very short amount of time. So I like training chest for me a little heavier in this 5 to 10, especially earlier in the week. In the 5 to 10 rep range, I like really for a lot of things, man. It's a great transfer over to more strength-based work, and it's just, for me, I feel a lot of good adaptations. But I will train a little higher rep ranges, typically not in the chest though. I just kind of don't get a lot of good growth there. But so with the 5 to 10, I think it's important to pick a weight where the first set maybe you're getting 8 to 10 reps, and you're training to near failure, or maybe that first one, maybe you have 9, 10, maybe 11 good reps in you. And then as you go on, if you load selection was correct and you keep that weight, I started and I was doing 9s and 8s with 80 pounds, and by the end I was struggling to get 5s and 6s. So that's a great load selection. So what I would do next week is I'd come in and I would try and use 80, and maybe I get 10, 11, or 9 on the first 2 sets or something, and then maybe I'm hitting 7, 8s, or 9s on the last 2 sets. And if you get most of your sets on the top end of that range, then you can start to increase. And that's kind of how I run most of my 5 to 10, or even my rep range training. So then I went into some rows, and I had on here initially, I had some bent over rows, just standard barbell bent over rows. And I love that exercise, but sometimes the cost is my legs are tired, so I just don't get locked into a good position. So I ended up switching and doing some cables here, chest supported, so didn't have to put the stress on my back or on my hips or my hamstrings, and I could just focus on locking my body and rowing. So this really here, I'm working on that like middle of the back, a little bit of that trap, because I'm getting a little bit there, but really good. I'm just, with these, I'm really focusing on my shoulder blades coming back together, as if somebody like also had their hand like in my armpit. I'm trying to squeeze their hand underneath my arm instead of thinking about just pulling the handles back. So I'm really focusing on that, really emphasizing sweeping the shoulder blades together, retracting them together, and then at the end, I'm really letting them protract or reach forward, so they're kind of gliding along my rib cage as I'm doing this. And this really was a great one here, just working on keeping that scapular depression down and letting them kind of protract and retract around there. So this was my first one. I was gonna go heavier in the 5 to 10 rep range, because like I do with bent over rows, but it just didn't work out that way because I couldn't get a good like setup on here. So I ended up training a little higher rep range than I would have liked, but it actually turned out really well. So I ended up doing like 10 to 15 reps here. It was just hard to get set up with like that super heavy weight, just like 74. And then so I had lat pull downs, and I had this cable machine. I was here, so I ended up doing some single arm work. One arm at a time, but I'm doing both at the same. And really, we're doing these lat pull downs. I have some scapular wing I'm trying to address, like my left shoulder blade will kind of come up and kind of lose that tension. And it was great because I could see there, and I could see this weight stacks, and I can make sure that they're kind of close proximity to the resting stack and get some good feedback. So this was a great exercise, a little wider pull down rep range, or range. So really getting some nice width and thickness on there. And this was a really good one. Again, I was training. So this one, I was planning on training 5 to 10, but as you can see, I started going up here. I did these for 5s. That's like 150 on each hand. I weigh about 190 at this point, so that's 300 pounds of weight trying to pull me up. So it did get difficult to hold myself in the seat. I think next time what I'll do is maybe put a plate on my body or something, because I think I could have got some really good work in with this. But all in all, it was an awesome day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely the squats today, not as great as I would have liked, but it's a new movement. I'm learning the new patterns, just trying to get that going, and it didn't help that my legs were effectively sore. It had some DOMs in the hamstrings and quads. So that's all I got today. Let me know what you guys think about this workout. Give it a try. You can check down below. I have it all listed out for you with timestamps. So check that out. Leave me a thumbs up and a comment, and make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.